Infidelity in marriage can be painful and a difficult situation for couples that can stretch them to a breaking point. Understanding marital infidelity from a biblical perspective is crucial and important, and also the practical ways how to deal and cope with such situations. Today, we are glad to have Mr. Vijay Hebbal and Mrs. Jessie Hebbal for our program today. Welcome, Mr. Vijay and Mrs. Jessie. Thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Vijay Hebbal began his professional life as Rural Development Officer with Syndicate Bank. But in obedience to God's call, he resigned and served in Ambassadors for Christ India as the National Director. Now associated with Urban India Ministries as faculty and resource person for seminars, counseling for couples, and as board treasurer. Mrs. Jessie was professor and head of the Department of Chemistry, but came to ministry with her husband. She is a trained counselor and academic dean at Family Research Training Institute of Urban India Ministries. They are blessed with 2 children and 4 grandchildren. My first question is, what is marital infidelity and what are some of the factors that contribute to infidelity?
Um, we'll first try to understand what is marital infidelity. It refers to a spouse, it could be a husband or a wife, being unfaithful in marriage. That's the simplest way. And taking it further, either the husband or the wife engaging in physical or sexual relationship or emotional relationship with someone other than the spouse without the knowledge of the spouse. I hope that helps us in understanding what marital infidelity is. In fact, there are two major forms of marital infidelity. The first one is the physical infidelity, where sexual involvement or engagement happens with someone other than the spouse. It's a physical intimacy. Then the second is the emotional infidelity, where deep emotional connect, happens with someone. It with romantic, what to say, connotations and all those things. Deep emotional connection with another person, and often, as I said, with romantic feelings there, even if there is no sexual involvement. There may not be physical involvement, but then it's an emotional connect. So these are the two forms of marital infidelity. And the obvious signs, if I may add here, we cannot ignore the obvious signs when it is going the slippery road. One of the obvious signs, in fact, digital world has given the scope for these infidelity, marital infidelity. The texting that happens. Now there's a new word called sexting, inappropriate words, which also include words connecting to sex and other things. That is conveyed to the partner with whom the spouse is engaged. And the spouse is kept in the dark. There's no access for the phone. In fact, sometimes it is password protected. And these are the signs, that there is something that's not right. And also, if we go on to see, lies about the whereabouts, the, the person is missing at home to be there for a particular event or at a particular time, he or she is missing. And when asked, there are so many lies that come around. So that's also one, sign that, the person can be going the wrong way. Then the financial transactions that happen, which the spouse is kept in the dark again, where the money goes, why the money goes, why or to why a particular person, all these things are kept in the dark from the spouse. These are all some signs that there could be a hint of marital infidelity. Yeah.
What are the factors that contribute to this ministry?
Yeah, there can be many factors, but sometimes we feel that it is always about a physical attraction, which is not so. It often stems from a deeper emotional relational as well as situational factors that are involved in this. For example, unmet needs like feeling unloved or unappreciated, and even a lack of sexual fulfillment in the marriage relationship, makes the spouse seek, for this other than, from within the marriage relationship, like, looking outside or looking beyond. See, it is so beautiful, that God has created this marriage relationship. He has designed this relationship so beautiful, but then to be enjoyed within these boundaries. So when there is a looking beyond, when either of the spouses, because of these reasons that I just said, they are trying to look beyond for the gratification of their various types of desires, that is when, you know uh, these contribute towards the infidelity that can happen in the relationship. Even the pressure of these unrealistic expectations, for example, the never ending conflicts that are there, and the clashes between the egos of the spouses, it brings a emotional disconnect between the spouses, and that is, going to grow in the days and then bring a big rift between them. So friendship outside of marriage relationship, because of the poor boundaries that the spouses are keeping, between them, and keeping the doors open to the emotional and the physical intimacy that can be experienced outside of marriage, these are very dangerous, and these are the factors which contribute towards this. Many times this happens in the work setup, because the spouse is not there, no one is there to watch you, and no one knows who is who and where these things are going on. And as Jessie said, some of these social media temptations of just forwarding some videos, or exchanging some inappropriate messages and all, these all contribute towards the infidelity that can come in relationships.
Yeah, in fact, these are just the two that he has mentioned, the unmet needs and the friendships or the boundaries that are not there. But then continuing, to the things that can contribute to the marital infidelity, I have a few things to share here. Unhealed emotional and physical attachments from the past. As a young girl or boy growing up, they go into a phase of crush and that puppy love and infatuation and all that. But that sometimes it moves to the next level as well, to the emotional attachment and the physical attachment. And that is deeply etched in the person's heart and mind. As they grow, if there is no closure to these attachments, when they get married, they still carry it forward. And these are all unmet needs. So even after marriage, they still want to go back and find fulfillment. Maybe in the same person whom they were having a crush or infatuation with, or multiple partners also, because these are not brought to a closure there. So, as I said, unhealed emotional and physical attachment or not closed, all these things can still push them, to go back seeking fulfillment in the partners even after marriage. Then we have the influence of the media. In fact, in every other talk show and every other serials, so called the soap operas, what has happened is the media has glamorized to the affairs and the infidelity to such an extent that it has become normal. We are bombarded with it. Exactly. We are bombarded with it. And so people don't find it as something that we should not go into. It's a normal thing. So the guilt and the remorse or the shame, it's just dwindling. And people just go into it, even after marriage. And when the spouse questions, they say it's a normal thing. So this is one of the contributors over there.
I think another important factor which contributes towards infidelity is something is missing, and that is, between the spouses, the desire to understand God's design for marriage. Okay, so many people before marriage, they have all their dreams and fantasies and all that.
Expectation.
Yeah, expectations. But what is missing is understanding the designer's model. Why did he design this marriage, and who designed it, and what is his purpose? See, unless you understand that, uh, entering into marriage with your own fantasies and dreams is going to not help you in any way. And so, when one or both spouses drift away from God also, and they lose sight of God's design for this beautiful relationship, in fact, it is based on the covenantal relationship. And that is where, infidelity comes in. Okay, because people think that, it is my life, I can enjoy it as long as I like it. And which is not so, according to the designer. In fact, the Bible says, they shall be, they shall become one flesh, isn't it? So, becoming one flesh is God's design for life. Whereas our tendency, the human way of thinking, is that as long as I'm happy, I'll be in it. The moment I, feel frustrated with this person, I'm going to say goodbye. In fact, the whole concept of these live-in relationships, it has destroyed the whole design that God has created so beautifully. In fact, I always love this verse, which is there in the book of Hebrews, which says, "Keep the marriage bed holy, for God will judge the adulterer and all the sexually immoral," which means that we are not supposed to even think of infidelity, forget involving into it, even putting a thought of infidelity in our minds. As we see Jesus also warning, if you look at a woman and lust after her, finished, that's the end of it. So I think the moment people move away from God's plan or drift away into the thinking of this world, that is when these events of infidelity keep on increasing. Another thing I am suddenly reminded of is that Satan's attack on marriage is an important factor in these cases of infidelity. It contributes a lot because Satan is against God's purposes. He doesn't want God's purpose to be accomplished in any marriage, and that is why he didn't even leave the first marriage of Adam and Eve. He didn't take any chances, and so he continues to do it till today. And it is we, who have taken this relationship casually, whereas Satan takes it very seriously, not to build it, but to destroy it. And so the enemy brings in all that we have just said, into marriage to drift the couples apart and to bring in unhealthiness in the relationship.
Yeah, I mean, to conclude, I would like to add something. Whatever said and done, marital infidelity can deeply impact the trust, the security, and the foundation of marriage. So we have to be on high alert about this.
Thank you so much, Mr. Vijay and Mrs. Jessie, for really bringing out the important point of marital infidelity, helping our viewers to understand what is marital infidelity. I'm sure you have been blessed by their insights. Please stay tuned. We'll be back in our next episode. If you want to reach out to us, please call us at +91 6364 252164, or you could send us an email to info@febaonline.org. Thank you.